This is the August 31st lesson, Tuesday. We're looking at parallel and perpendicular lines. What I want you to notice here, I have two parallel lines here, and the slopes are 3. So parallel lines have the same slope. Now, this was already written here because I tried to do this several times. All right. Okay, so parallel lines have the same slope. But what about perpendicular lines? So if you look here, 3/4 for one of the lines, that's the red one, and negative 4/3 for the other one. So their signs are different, and they're reciprocals of each other. So perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. So that means you got to change the sign and flip the fraction. So here in my example here, I have one slope that's 3/4. It's positive 3/4. You change the sign so it becomes negative, and you find the reciprocal. You flip the fraction. All right. So let's look at some examples how to find the opposite reciprocal. So what if I have a slope of 2? What's the opposite reciprocal of that? Well, remember every whole number has 1 underneath. So you're going to change the signs from positive to negative, and you flip that. So the opposite reciprocal of positive 2 is negative 1/2. All right. What if I have a 0? What's the opposite reciprocal of 0? So technically it looks like this, right? 1 over 0. But this is undefined. So if we have a line with a slope of 0, then the opposite reciprocal, or the one that's perpendicular to it, will have a slope that is undefined. So remember, a slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and this slope that's undefined, that won't be a vertical line. All right, let's go here. Oops, okay. So here, we look at the parallel line. It would be parallel to this line, and this line has a slope of 2. So we're going to use that point slope form of a line. Right? That's from yesterday's lesson, and we're going to fill it in with this point and this slope. All right, so that's going to be y minus 3, right? That's the y value, equals, the slope is 2, x minus 5, right? 5 comes from the x value up here. M is the slope over here. Now what we're going to do is clean this up. So it's y minus 3. Distribute 2x minus 10. Add 3 to both sides. You get y equals 2x minus 7. That's it. Okay, so that's the answer to that question. So make sure you read the directions, because the next one, it looks very similar, but in example A, it was parallel. Example B, it's perp or perpendicular. So we're looking for perpendicular. Now, the slope of the given line, is negative 2/3. But we want the opposite reciprocal. So that's going to be positive 3/2. Right? We change the sign, it goes from negative to positive, and we flip it, 3 over 2. Now we go back to that regular form, this point slope form. Fill it in with what we got. So it's y. Now, that's a negative 1. So it's y plus 1. It's minus a negative, making it a plus. M is 3/2. X plus 4, right? Whenever you subtract a negative, it just basically changes to a plus. Or minus negative 4. That's why it's a plus 4. All right, continuing. Let's distribute y plus 1 equals 3/2 x plus 6. Okay? If you don't know how to do that, it's 3/2 times 4. Many students did it this way. 3 times 4 is 12 over 2, and then reduce that. That's where the 6 comes from. All right? So that's 3/2 times 4. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Get the y by itself, so we just need to subtract 1. So it's y equals 3/2 x plus 5. And that is the final answer there. All right, moving on, C. All right, trying to get this to work. All right, what if I just fold it? All right, here we go. Okay, let's try this again. All right, so we want parallel to negative 4/3. We want parallel to negative 4/3. So so the slope then is just the same slope, so it's negative 4/3. And we'll say y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so we're just using the point slope form of a line, y1 is 10, so it's y minus 10 equals, the slope is negative 4/3, x minus 9. All right, now we distribute, so it's negative 4/3 x plus 12. Add 10 to both sides. You get y equals negative 4/3 x plus 22. And that is that. All right, moving on to example D. So perpendicular to 3, or perpendicular to this line. So this currently has a slope of 3. M equals 3. So we're going to want the opposite reciprocal of that. So it's negative 1/3. So that's the slope we're going to use, negative 1/3. So it's going to be y plus 3 equals negative 1/3 times x minus 12. All right, so I'm using negative 1/3 as my slope. It's x minus the x value and y minus the y value. So minus a negative 3 gives me the plus 3. Okay, let's distribute. So it's y plus 3 equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. All right, 1/3 of 12 is 4. Subtract 3 from both sides. And I get y equals negative 1/3 x plus 1. All right, now this really needs 2 more examples. So I'm going to do 2 more examples. So write this somewhere else on your paper. Example E passes through the point, you can use the same point, 9, 10, and parallel to y equals 7. So we want to go through the point 9, 10 and parallel to y equals 7. So what is the slope of this line? The slope is not 7, the slope is 0. When there is no x, the slope is 0. So that means I want it to be parallel to a horizontal line. Right? And when the slope is 0, it's just y equals the y value. So it's y equals 10. Okay, and the last example passes through. Let's go through the same one up here, 12, negative 3. And we want perpendicular to, let's use the same line over there, y equals 7. All right, so this line is a horizontal line, right? The slope is 0. Remember when we said perpendicular to that, that means the m we have or we need is undefined. M is undefined. Okay, so that means it's a vertical line. Remember, when it's a vertical line, it's x equal to x value. The x value is 12. So it's x equals 12. And that's it.